confiscate the money. That girl is a real proud thief. Small world, all her friends know me.
So we are back at the brand new episode of Cincinnati Stingers MyLEAGUE here in NBA 2K17. Last episode we went and simmed another season of the Stingers franchise, and we had a pretty good season, I guess. We went and won the championship once again on a very great season, tying a record that we broke a few years ago on the simulation. But we're going to start the season 6-1, 7-1, 8-1. So every season we go and start off a season exactly like this, tons of wins in a row, about 19-20 game winning streak. We go and lose the odd game like they just lost the Celtics game to make a 27-2 record on the season. So I mean, our team is so great when it comes to having huge winning streaks. That's how we live, basically. We win 20 in a row, we lose one, we go win another 20 in a row, we lose another one. Basically, that's the entire season when you look at it. But right now, 46-3. Right now, I don't know if we have any injuries or not, but we lost the Celtics once again, so the Celtics seem to be a kryptonite at this point. 2 losses already against them on the season, but Nick Cheeks, 14 assists in that one. Maybe he might go back-to-back MVP winning seasons, because he hit one MVP last year for the first time ever. Patton finally didn't get the MVP for because he had the MVP for about 6 years in a row, but right now, Patton number 1, Cheeks number 2, and Shane Wheeler number 3 in MVP voting. So I mean, 2 MVPs in the top 5 MVP voting is pretty good, I guess, but we usually have that every single year, but it never works out. But Nick Cheeks, Shane Wheeler, Francis Jenkins, and Fred Aldridge are all All-Stars this year for the Stingers. So Jason Tatum is an All-Star too, so that's pretty cool to see that too on there. I think he's been an All-Star every single year since we traded him, but Nick Cheeks and Shane Wheeler are both in the 3-point contest for this season, so they're back in the 3-point contest once again. I think Wheeler wasn't in it last year, but he was in there the year before. Plus, to go and re-sign Francis Jenkins, hopefully we're under the hard cap, and we are, as he happily accepts that deal from us. So 90 win overall, Francis Jenkins is our 6th man still. Hopefully he's killing it still in his individual stats. But right now, 68-6, 70-7. And we're going to finish off the season going 74-7 with the last game left, trying to go 75-7 on the season, and we're easily going to do that as we win this one huge 116-91 final in the last game. So Aldridge 26 points, 10 rebounds for a double-double on that game, and the Pelicans, they had no shot against us, so we go and win this one. But Nick Cheeks wins back-to-back MVP seasons, averaging another double-double there in assists and points. So Nick Cheeks back-to-back MVP. He's like Steph Curry, you guys can say, with that one. But Nick Cheeks, 2 MVPs. I thought for sure Patton would have this one, but I guess not, as he pulled ahead in the last few days, averaging all those double-doubles. But Nick Cheeks MVP, Alfredo Newman is Rookie of the Year, D. Hickman is 6th man, Defensive Player of the Year is Keith Chaney, and Kevin McHale is Coach of the Year once again. It's 75-7 record. It's pretty obvious who's Coach of the Year every single year when you have a team that's 99 offense. But Nick Cheeks, Georges Patton, and Brandon Sims are all on the NBA first team. And all NBA third team, we have Russell Westbrook Jr. on there, and no other Stingers. But all defensive first team, we have Shane Wheeler, and we have Lynn Morgan, who is on the Utah Jazz, signed that mega deal a few years back on that one. But all defensive second team, we have nobody on there, and we have no rookie, so we'll have nobody on the all rookie second team or first team. So great season by us. Obviously, it looked like Shane Wheeler led us in points with 25.3 points per game. And yeah, I don't know how he even did this, so I thought for sure Nick Cheeks would not win MVP again, but he somehow pulls it off beyond everyone's doubts. Nick Cheeks, I knew he was going to be a great player right when we went and took the draft pick to go and draft him, or even just took him in the draft. I can't remember how we got him. I think it was a draft night trade that we got him in, but he averaged so many assists. He got 3 triple-doubles this season, 55 double-doubles on the season. So Nick Cheeks, he averaged a double-double over half the season and more. So I can't believe that when I say that. And Nick Cheeks is probably the best player in the league for that one. But when you check out the plus-minus there, we usually have nobody under -1 plus-minus, which shows how great our team is. But Patton averaged 38.7 points per game and did not win MVP again. So that's pretty crazy to see that. I guess the NBA is finally recognizing how great Nick Cheeks is. Back-to-back MVP, 7-time NBA champion, 10-time All-Star. He's clearly in the Hall of Fame by now, I guess. Those are Hall of Fame numbers and jersey retirement numbers. Number 1 for Nick Cheeks is going to be retired in about 5 or 6 years. So great career so far. Hopefully he can go win 3 MVPs. Plus he's got like 5 or 6 more seasons left in him. So maybe he could be a 16-time All-Star by the end of this one. But 75-7 season. We're facing the Orlando Magic in the first round matchup. So we have Greg McKinley, and their team isn't really that great, I guess. They have Quincy Cummings, 1 to 2 weeks, so I guess we have the upper hand when it comes to injuries and roster plus record. But in the first game, Cheeks drops 24 points, a double-double by one of the players on the Stingers, and we're up 1-0 here in this series. No, second game, we win that one 2 to go up 2-0 here. Wheeler puts up 29, Mayo with a double-double, Norris with a double-double on that one. As we're going into the next one, we won that one to go up 3-0 here in this series. Bosch puts up 29 off the bench. So Bosch, great bench player, steps it up in the playoffs, just like how one of the other players that we traded to the Heat did. But going into game 4 here, trying to sweep them, and we easily do. 119-89 final. We're going to go move on to the next round of the semifinals. So Dave Davenport did not play at all. Actually, a lot of these bench players, I don't know if I should even re-sign them at all. They're kind of useless to re-sign when they don't play. But now going into the next round, we do have the Detroit Pistons to go through. They have a pretty good roster. They have Beret, 85 overall, a pretty good point guard. But we have Cam Norton out 6 to 8 weeks with a severe right ankle sprain. I don't know if he can go and pull off this undefeated streak going on fourth, but Wheeler puts up 39 and 10 for a double-double. Barea puts up 47, but we're up 1-0 here in this series. Now up 2-0 here after the second game, as Nick Cheeks puts up a huge double-double, 38 points, 18 assists, 5 steals, 2 rebounds. Crazy game by him. He usually steps up in the playoffs, and it looks like Wheeler and Nick Cheeks are stepping up majorly here in these playoffs for us. The old dogs stepping it up ahead of the young guys, and Chris Mayo and Aldridge. But next game, game 3, we go up 3-0 here as we win that one again. So, how many games in a row that we've won? I think 7 right now. As Bosch puts up 24 in that one. Now, going into game 4, trying to sweep the second opponent for this, the second team for the second time here in this playoffs. And we win this one 124-107, moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals off a sweep. So, back-to-back sweeps by the Detroit Pistons and on the Orlando Magic. And now we're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals after great performances by Aldridge and Nick Cheeks, plus Shane Wheeler. So let's see who our opponent is in the second round, and it is the Charlotte Hornets once again. So the Hornets, they're a great team, but the Suns and OKC are facing off in the West. As the Hornets, they have not that bad of a roster, I guess. They won it a few years back ago. Well, they were like dominant, and we could not beat them at all. But now our team looks clearly superior to them. We go up 1-0 here in the first game of the ECF. So Nick Cheeks puts up 32 points. Jenkins puts up 28 and 11 and assists for a double-double. Whereas Roberts puts up 29 points and 17 assists in losing efforts. So great game by him, but it's not good enough to go and beat the Stingers in game 1. But we go up 2-0 here in this series after we take game 2 off of Aldridge's 32 points and Nick Cheeks 19 points and 10 assists for that double-double. So 3 double-doubles in that game. As our team is killing it so far. I don't know how many games in a row we've won. I think it's 10 games in a row. But now we win 11 as we're up 3-0 here in the ECF against the Charlotte Hornets. Bale puts up 26 and 11. Cheeks puts up 17 and 12 for assists and points. And now we're going into game 4 looking for our 3rd consecutive sweep of these playoffs. As we're in Charlotte here, a tough place to play, but we're going to easily go into the 4th quarter, cruising 129-96 final as we win this one and move on to the NBA Finals off of 3 back-to-back sweeps in the playoffs. So, I don't know how we're pulling this off. We're undefeated going into the NBA Finals against these Phoenix Suns. The 7th seed Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference, who usually face the 1st seed, but Phoenix somehow pulls it off, goes to the NBA Finals, but they have a 70 overall center. Their bench is absolute crap. I think we should might be able to go undefeated in this entire postseason, but we win the first quarter, 39 points in that one, as we're going to go and win this one easily, 139-106 final, by a 33-point margin there in game 1. So, I don't know, we're pulling it off here. We're somehow almost still undefeated going into game 2 of this NBA Finals. Maybe might usually end up losing game 2 here in Cincinnati. I don't know why we always do. We put up 82 points in the first half, and it was all over from there. 145-107 final, as Nick Cheeks and Shane Wheeler just completely destroy the Phoenix Suns here in Cincinnati. Go up 2-0 here in this series. But Bernard puts up 22 points, but they have one of their players, Olsen, out for the season, and one of their players has a stomach virus. So that's huge for them, a huge loss, as we have no really major injuries beside our center. But going into the first game in Phoenix, we dominate them all day long. 146-124 final. We're up 3-0 here in the NBA Finals, and we might be able to sweep another team here in these playoffs. And how many sweeps is that would be? I guess it'd be the first one, second one, third one, 4th sweep if we go and win the next game here in Phoenix in the NBA Finals. So we're 3-0 here going into this one. We're trying to go and win another NBA championship, our 8th of our franchise. I think we can do it here, as we need to go and win this one in Phoenix. A tough crowd to play against, but I mean, our team is dominant, our players are dominant. Let's go and win this one as we have a lead through 3 quarters.
And they've done it, the new NBA champions. What a moment it is right now to see the team who played so well together enjoying this NBA championship moment.
And you talk about a defining moment. This is it. They have played so well together. They deserve every ounce of this NBA championship moment.
And seeing this team come together over the course of the season and on into the playoffs, What a joy. I mean, there is no better champion the league could have asked for.
And a pleasure here at 2K Sports to be with you all season long. Good night, everyone.
So you go and win our 8th NBA championship of our franchise. I don't know how we do it though. Our team is consistently dominant every single year, and that means we go and win. We went undefeated in the regular season 2 years ago. We went undefeated in these playoffs this year. I don't know what's even left to accomplish though. We have an MVP this season. Got that done. I guess maybe Defensive Player of the Year we could probably go and get, but the Stingers have won the championship for the 8th time in their franchise, as Nick Cheeks takes home Finals MVP after having a great Finals in these playoffs. So, retirements, we have Jahlil Okafor, we have Emmanuel Mudiay, Jaylen Brown, Marquise Chris, and Mudiay had a great season, a great career, I guess, played tons of years in Utah and Denver, whereas the next few players, I guess, are really not that great. This is kind of a weak draft class, or weak retirement class. But Scalabus here, a long-time Stinger. I believe for 12 years he's won on the Stingers. But he goes and retires in the NBA. So a great career by our man Scalabus here. Hopefully his number gets retired, but I doubt he will, just based on he barely had any awards with our team. He's a great bench player, but I don't know, just a great long-time committed player on the Stingers. If I were at the option to go and manually go and retire numbers, I'd retire Scalabus here's number on the Stingers. But you see Jaylen Brown, he played tons of years in Boston though. He had 17 years in the NBA, retired with the Knicks. So next win is Okafor did retire as LA Laker, as he spent the first few years in Philly and spent the next few over there in Boston, I believe. But so staff retirements, we do have a few executives who did retire this year. I don't know how, usually we only have maybe 1 or 0, but a lot of coaches retired this season. But number retirements, we do have Brandon Armstrong with the Hawks from 2018 and 2033, plus you have Okafor with the Boston Celtics 2020 to 2032. So no Jaylen Brown, but Okafor retires. It gets his number retired by the Boston Celtics. But rule changes, we actually have 2 rule changes approved. Eliminate the 5-second back-to-basket violation, and 13 players from each conference be selected to the All-Star game. And now going into this draft lottery, we don't have any picks in here, but look, the Nets are the first and second best odds, and they go move down to 4th and 5th. So that's crazy. The Nets, I guess they have the Jason Tatum curse, where everything just doesn't seem to go right, I guess. I don't know. But going into Stafford signings, we do have Blake back for another year at assistant coach. Progressed quite a bit, I guess, since the last time we've seen him. I mean, right now he's at have an A grade for offense, and now we're moving on to the NBA draft for the season.
Good evening and welcome to the NBA draft. With the first pick in the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select the 21-year-old small forward from Slovenia. With the second pick in the NBA draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Will Lawrence from Northwestern University. We have a trade to announce. With the third pick in the NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Herman Childress from UCLA. With the fourth pick in the NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Marion Peeler from the University of California. With the fifth pick in the NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Clark Anthony from the University of New Mexico. With the sixth pick in the NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Eric Walton from Fresno State. With the 7th pick in the NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select the 21. With the 8th pick in the NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Chris Isley from the University of Michigan. With the 9th pick in the NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Mike Trent from the University of North Carolina. With the 10th pick in the NBA draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Rob Moss from the University of New Mexico. We have a trade to announce. With the 11th pick in the NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Darren Rowland from the University of Texas. The 31st pick in the NBA draft, the 20-year-old shooting guard from the University of Tennessee. With the 32nd pick in the NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Alan Taft.
So this draft class is actually pretty good, I guess. First overall, there's an 82 overall 21-year-old small forward, so and actually there's a lot of depth. Centers, I guess, that are going like 75 overall, 19 years old, and like the 13th overall. So I mean, great draft classes here compared to the last 3 where they're just absolute pure crap. But now going on to our player signings, we do sign back a few players like Bernie Boatwright. We're gonna try and re-sign. Same with Dave Davenport. We're going into the free agency. Dennis Smith is the top free agent at 35 years old. So I mean, pretty weak free agency class when I say it, but I don't know, there's a few decent players I guess could probably contribute on the bench, but a lot of players trying to sign. You have to sign Thon Perkins there in the free agency for our first signing of this free agency class. But going on to the next few things, maybe trade Glenn Atkins for a first round pick from the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know how he pulled off this trade, but somehow Brooklyn wants to give us their first round pick, which was like second to best odds in the draft class or the draft lottery this year, for a guy who's like 35 years old. But going on to signings, we're trying to sign a few players on there, as we do sign Wesley, this 174 overall point guard who is crazy here. But going on our roster this year, though, we do have a pretty good roster, same as last year almost. Hopefully we can go win the NBA championship for the 9th time in our franchise. But I guess I'll end this episode off for here. Make sure to look at the story for more Stingers franchise month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.